but today's topic is going to be self-inquiry, kind of thrown in a pot of words here, if you want to call it the Atman, the inner self, soulful qualities. I mean, we all know these, and we all have the rainbow, the complete spectrum within us of the qualities of the inner self. So just throwing them in a pot, I mean, loving, compassionate, joyful, forgiving. Everybody has all of these. You could even add, patient, understanding. So in yoga, the first step off the mat would be to cultivate kind of soulful qualities, and it's called the yamas. It's really doing simple acts of kindness that are possible within your own setting and how that makes you feel. And that's where you just can cultivate ahimsa, kindness, and you have your own natural reaction to feeling good. Instead of overdoing things, you can be kinder to yourself and stay more balanced. It's a little trickier than removing the spider, but something to keep working on. We have all these qualities, and the way we work with the body and then working kind of inwards towards the center. We work with the breath a lot, because the breath is the seam kind of between the inner and outer worlds. So the breath is in the exhale, and inhale, like it seems initially like a two-part thing. You breathe in, you breathe out. But as you start to slow down and notice it in the practices, you may notice that it's a cycle. It's not just, in, out. You can think of just like a pendulum. It follows a cycle. So by attending to the breath, the mind also kind of gets pulled out of black and white thinking, left or right, right or wrong thinking, and into just a kind of more of a non-dual kind of awareness, and just being able to observe the breath. It's super, is one of the attributes that develops from having this and connecting with the body, and kind of softening our attachment to the outside world and what we see and how we look. It's more to be attuned to how we feel. Okay, could I have the next one, please? So we just know that the qualities of the inner self: kind, loving, passionate. There's a catch. Our mind is wired to forget the inner self. This is called a negativity bias, or survival mode. And it's really funny, because originally, I guess it was a really good self-preservation thing for human beings, that we needed to, look over the forest and, see the wolf or the bear that was coming at us. Like, you need to see everything and just like focus on that negative thing to for self-defense. But we're really not living like that anymore. Yet our minds are still kind of biased this way. And our life can be a beautiful tapestry. And yet we'll focus on the one loose thread. And sometimes that can make us really lose perspective. Big word in yoga is discernment, discrimination, but meaning discernment, real versus unreal, because this is the source of stress. It's in the mind. I mean, there's real stress, like a car's coming at you on the sidewalk, like step out of the way, real stress. But the difficulty is when it's the unreal stress with deadlines and self-management, and we can't, like, what's real and what's unreal. Oh, if I don't do this, XYZ is going to happen. So real kind of goal of yoga is actually befriending the mind and calming it, being peaceful, using discernment to separate the real from the unreal, notice and kind of problem solve and solve our own issues of stress by observing ourselves. And we really can. because practice, it helps us to slow down and think about these things and to really catch exceptions, things that are going right, and moments of joy. Like, you know, we can always see that one nasty thread in the tapestry really is irritating, but the rest of the tapestry is beautiful. Mine says, I mean, in my case, in my studies, like sometimes like, I can't do that. And, you know, it's not true. It's not true that I can't. You know what I can do? I can set a timer for 15 minutes and then get up and walk away. And look, I did 15 minutes of work. Or I could make a study date with a friend or partner to just kind of share the work and reach out. So to catch yourself is it's an ongoing thing. It never ends. But the idea of catching moments of joy is actually from an 8th century yoga text called the Vijnana Bhairava, where even the idea of catching the joy of seeing a friend after a long time, you remember that, like that aha moment when they turned around and, oh, hey, it's you, and you catch that memory and you meditate on it. This is a dharana from yoga. The perfect bite of sweet chocolate, or sniffing a beautiful flower, or you know, scoring a goal, something that's in your personal experience that you can just have that memory and pull back to that. And now, especially where there are, you know, real stressors in our world that are not in our mind, and how to keep steady and how to keep the mind from going down spiral out of control. Really great to have traditions that helped people for thousands of years, such as yoga. People in India had real malnutrition, real diseases, no health care, very little health care, you know, over thousands of years. And these practices have been used. So I don't think they would have been passed down if it hadn't been useful for people and to help them to connect and keep centered in difficult times. So catching moments of joy, recognizing grace when things happen is called anugraha, just to catch that moment. Maybe the day your email, you know, arrived to, you know, saying you're accepted to university. You know, everybody works hard, lots of people apply, not everybody gets accepted. So that moment where you just, like, it happened, like, write it down, have a gratitude journal. This could even be a yogic practice to write down 10 things each day in a journal of things that you're grateful for and things that you recognize are going well, even if it's small things. It's still kind of a ritual practice that really helps the mind to not go off on a tangent. Okay, can I have the next slide? So yeah, so self-inquiry, you know, getting unstuck. Often a best way is to ask a question, to pause. Learning to pause in the yoga tradition is developing like a mindfulness where you're able to like lean back and kind of observe yourself, observe what's going on, whether it's your body on the mat or your breath if you find your throat gets tight, and be able to step out of the flow of just the narrative, like, well, he said that to me and she said that, and you know, these stories that we're involved in, and really just to ask really simple questions like, how are you feeling? But to go under the story and detach. And this is called aparigraha. This is an attitude of non-clinging, an open mind to observe and to suspend our habitual judgment. Something that I'm grateful for right now is I'm walking without a limp. I had an accident about a couple of, it wasn't so long ago, but I like to be an athlete and to dance. So for me, walking with a limp was very difficult. So for me, I'm catching things going right. I'm walking without a limp. Um, something that I notice, I think talking about my inner weather, the body's somatic signals, your tension, where you feel tight in your chakras or your personal energy levels. Learning to observe yourself and put words to it, having words to the emotions really can help to just put it out there and just identify it and not just become lost in the flow of the story, scrolling down and down and down. Like I know it happens sometimes when I'm scrolling on my phone. You're scrolling and scrolling and it just kind of accelerates and you're reading all this negative things. And I tend to get addicted to that, even even at this age, or to caffeine or to sugar or to screen time. So you learn to observe yourself and to just own it and to accept the light parts and the dark parts and say that's just me, that's how I'm feeling right now. Suspend the judgment and the negative self-talk that follows. And a big part of yoga is just acceptance of the way the reality is, like today, right now. And the Sanskrit word is Ishvara Pranidhana. Could also just be from other traditions like so be it, unconditional love, or honoring the self, where we just, we accept and surrender to the present moment, that things are as they are. But then it doesn't leave, just because we were accepting it doesn't mean we're powerless. This is the difference. This is a yoga attribute that we can use words and rituals to kind of step out of our kind of feeling of powerlessness or downward spiral. So practicing and developing this mindfulness, this witness consciousness, it helps the mind to really to pause in that non-judgmental space and to catch oneself in the negative spiral of self-talk. You practice, whether yoga, meditation, pranayama, you do your practices, your cultivation of different qualities, and then you see how you feel. You check in with yourself and you see if it helps you, and then you continue or not. It's nothing to do really with beliefs. So because verbalizing, let's say putting things into words or just silent repetition, can really reverse patterns and grooves in the brain, or saying, I can't, become a self-fulfilling prophecy, So the idea that we can observe ourselves, witness ourselves a little bit, and catch ourselves, you redirect. The same idea, we can befriend the mind and redirect a negative spiral into a little ritual. The Mahavakyas are sayings from the Indian tradition, such as Tat Tvamasi or Aham Brahmasmi, that really just affirm, like, I am that, or I am part of something bigger than myself. They've been handed down from teachers, sages in India, to their students, to repeat and to contemplate. And they really help to take us out of our small self. The mantra is repeated, whether on the Rudraksha beads of a mala, or it's like a rosary, where you're doing this kind of ritual repetition. And this creates a new neural pathway in your brain. And it need not be a mantra from India. If you have from your own tradition, your own sacred tradition, this is beautiful. I can recommend, I'm going to do a different session on mantra, but one that I'm familiar with is the So Hum, where you breathe out on the So. It's integrated with your breathing pattern. So on the out breath and hum on the in breath, and you start to see this cycle of your own breath coordinated with the sound, and you hear it, and you have a good posture. So it becomes an integrated thing. It's a whole body thing. It's not just something you're thinking about, and it's not just moving mindlessly. It's really a whole integrated embodied thing, very holistic. My last note on the slide is the idea of creating your own personal statement. And I won't ask you to disclose anything, but it's very personal. And in your own words, you had to have no reason to share it with anybody. But it can be something that in times of difficulty that you repeat to yourself. This is the idea of japa, repetition, because you're actually, like, from psychology, you condition, it's conditioning, but it's also neuroplastic. You're giving the brain something new to play with, kind of, instead of going back to its own stressed out groove. You know, the more you work with it, the more it works, just like any other skill. Let's hop into practice. I'm going to just, if you have a chair or cushion, just ask you to come to the edge of your seat and plant your feet on the floor. The idea that we're going to deal a bit with the root chakra, because in times of stress, the lower area of the body, the bottom of the spine, is called the Muladhara chakra. And we feel very unmoored. We feel kind of, you know, off balance. So returning to the breath, the vertical nature of the spine, and feeling rooted, feeling our feet flat on the ground, feeling our sit bones on the chair or the cushion. It really provides like something tactile for the mind to feel at ease on the chair. So come to the edge of your chair with your feet flat on the ground. You can feel all 4 points of the feet, the ball of the foot, the 2 sides of the heel, and really root down. If you find you're too high, you can always use a nice folded blanket for extra comfort and just have something to root your feet into, or you can place it under your sit bones so that you're more comfortable. Place your hands at your heart. You can join me for 3 ohms. Breathe in. Om. 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 Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. May there be peace in me, peace in you, and the peace in the forces that act upon us. Let's just drop into our sit bones. So feel the base of your pelvis, soften your gaze, and try to use your kinesthetic sense to feel within your body. And first just rock back and forth so that you find your nice point of balance, front to back and side to side. It's not meant to be a big stretching exercise, just finding the center point where you can balance really nice and easily. And inhale, bring your arms up. Right by your ears, stretch it up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Let your diaphragm descend, soften your abdomen, full of air. Exhale down. One more time, bring the arms up. Fingertip to the sky. Exhale down. Place your hands on the side of the chair or on your lap. And this time, shrugging, inhaling. into a back arch. Exhale, round the spine. Bow the head. Inhale. Open the heart space. Have a good stretch. Exhale. Let all the air out of your abdomen. One more time, in and out. Come back to center. Feel your sit bones. You can do a small belly dance, just keeping the sit bones on the surface and just moving the spine freely, feeling any tension. You can go one way, the other way. Just soften your gaze. It's just to feel the movement while staying rooted, feet nice and flat, with a good solid foundation under your sit bones. The rest of your body then can move freely without destabilizing itself. And do the other direction if you haven't already. And come back to center. Take your hands to your ribs. You can feel your ribs, and as we did before, rounding the back, just draw open the back ribs as if you're kind of, I don't know, from bodybuilding it was called a lat spread, but you spread your big back muscles and breathe into the space right behind your lungs, the back part of your lungs, like a singer would. Take a good, sweet, deep breath, and then release it. Come back to center. And as you breathe in, you can actually feel your ribs expanding to the sides so that your breath isn't limited to just kind of a shallow, more anxious breath from the top. We use the full rib cage in the back and front of the lungs. You get a more relaxation response, a more parasympathetic nervous system response where you're cueing that different area of your brain and bring it into your conscious attention. So here we go again. Breathe in. Spread the back of the ribs. You can arch forward a little bit. And out. Breathe in tall. Just to keep the height, not just to end up slouching. And when you release the breath, keep the spine as tall as possible. And then this time, breathe in. Draw the elbows forward. Open up the back body. The space between the scapula. Widen the shoulders. And then release. Bring your hands to the heart center. Connect your thumbs with your sternum. Just pause for a minute. Feel your breath return to its normal pattern. Whatever's normal for you, it's all good. If you can breathe through your nose, this is optimal. But if you have allergies, it's all good. Try to breathe through your nose in a controlled way, but without over breathing. Just following a little bit. Breathing into the heart. And this time releasing the air upward. And keeping the palms in the center line of the body. Release the air out. Pause. Breathe in. Breathe into the heart. Open up the rib cage. Shoulders up and back. Creating beautiful space for the heart. And the body to breath to expand. Exhale. Let it out. As the air leaves you, there's a slight pause at the end before the cycle repeats, breathing in and out. Again, one more time to the heart. And relax. Readjust your posture. If you find yourself slipping or slouching, draw yourself up tall. And with an inhale, imagine you're zipping right up through the crown or pulling a golden marionette string right up through your crown chakra, through your top of your head. And then exhale, hug a knee to your chest. Bring it in. Feel the air leave your lungs. Feel the pressure of your thigh against your abdomen. Release. As you breathe in. And then exhale naturally as you compress. And you can try the other side. Recenter yourself. Take the shin. Breathe in tall. Exhale. Compress. Hug it in. Breathe in tall again. Keep focusing on the vertical aspect of your body. Not losing it, not losing the height. Don't start slumping as you breathe out. Just keep it in. Exhale. Inhale tall. Exhale, hug. And release. And cross one leg over the other for a seated sage. Just cross over and cross the midline with the other arm. Breathing in tall. Exhale, turning to the back. Keeping the sit bones on the chair. Don't let the hips raise or torque. All the movement should come from the spine. Feel a nice rooting down through the sit bones, nice and stable. And it allows the mind to just release the tension. Like you're wringing out a dish towel, wringing out those muscles. Inhale back to center and switch. Inhale, sweet tall drink of water. Inhale, cross over, exhale. Turn, look over the back shoulder, provide a gentle leverage as you cross the midline of your body. Inhale back to center, switch again, and cross over. Inhale tall, exhale, gently torque. See if you can get maybe another millimeter of twist compared to the first time. Just see how it feels. Back to center and switch. Inhale, exhale. Try to complete the turn by looking over the back shoulder, giving the neck a good stretch, and then notice the feeling of release. When we release the breath, it was compressed. Release the muscle from the torque, and come back to center. Let's go into a little bit deeper bind in the Muladhara area. So we can cross over this time, and this time even hook your feet behind you. So if you can, if not, the cross leg is fine. Just the idea that you can feel your sit bones on the chair and you have like an eagle pose, but seated. So we've really almost made a knot with the legs, like really cross them and then hook it around the front. So just to feel that, where everything is crisscrossed. It takes us out of our regular kind of mindset of how to sit in a chair, creates a new way of moving for the body, and hopefully refreshes the mind as well. Other ways, so unhook, come around the other side. And release. You can do the same with the arms. So you can do left over right, cross at the elbows, and make them into the eagle pose arms. If this is uncomfortable, you can just go back to back of the hands. Just hold the pose for a minute and just breathe naturally. Got yourself in a different way of just being with your body. And release. And then do the opposite. Right over left or left over right. Just do the opposite arms. Try to interlock to make the hands meet. If that's too much flexibility, we're not really having it's not supposed to be contortionism class. We just want to have the feeling. So you can do hand back to back or front to front. Keeping a tall posture, just locking it in a different pattern. And release. And we're going to try to combine the top and the bottom at the same time. So it's a little bit of brain gym, if you will, but the arms and legs go in opposition to each other. So if I'm doing right over left legs, let's say right over left leg, then I do left over right arm. So pick a side and then we do the opposite. So it's really, really a treat for the brain to try and figure this one out. And then just take the pose in whatever format you can. It doesn't have to go deep. You can just cross your legs and arms. It's fine. And just to hold the pose and feel your energy flow in a different direction. But at the same time, you feel very grounded. Feel those sit bones right on that mat, on the chair or the cushion. Even though you're all twisted in different directions, you still feel that center. You still feel that grounding. You have one foot flat on the floor and you have both sit bones firmly on the chair. And so, if the wind comes, you're not going to blow away. You're fine. Just feel it. And then on your next inhale, unwind and recross the other direction. So now I'm doing left over right and then right over left. Get into the full pose. Press down with your foot, the one foot that's on the floor. You can feel the ball of the foot pressing into the carpet or the blanket or the floor. You can feel the sit bones being supported. And from there, just like think of your body like flying a beautiful flag. If it doesn't have a good foundation, a big post, a foundation under the post, it's just going to fall over. But if it has a good solid foundation, then the flag is free to flap and to fly in the wind and really, be flexible and do what it needs to do. So it always begins with the foundation. set the foundation, and then the rest, try to get a little bit more freedom. And on your next inhale, unwind, come back to center. Come back to the neutral pose, so your feet just flat on the floor, just in front of your knees. Legs about just hip width. And then you're going to take, we're going to do fire log pose. So try to turn the leg and place it across the knee. So not on the foot where it makes a sickle or a banana. Just let's leave the foot out of it, but put the, from the ankle, just above the ankle on the knee, so that you have a little bit of opening of the inner groins. So this is something more kind of vulnerable area of the body that often contracts in stressful times because it's you know, doesn't want to get hurt. So really we have to set the foundation again super properly, but the idea is just to open it, and if you can, to get the shin parallel to the floor where you get more opening that way. But at every point you are to like, experiment with it. Just ask yourself, like, you know, it shouldn't hurt. Just look at it, feel your way. And when you're in the semblance of the pose, press the gas pedal of the foot, like the ball of the foot, into the hand, and just create a little dynamic. And really, it helps to engage all the groin muscles. And you can even, like, you know, feel your pelvic floor. It more engages. Like we're creating a stronger support, a stronger base. So just a little isometric pressure there. And then release. Release any muscular tension. You shouldn't be like, it's not like lifting weights, but you should give a good little squeeze and then release. Then the same thing, we're going to compress this knee towards the ground, but at the same time, the knee is going to resist. So it looks like I'm doing nothing, but really I'm creating a bit of tension here, a bit of dynamic. If I took my hand away, whoop, the knee would pop up. So create an isometric resistant, open up the feeling that you're really engaging those inner thigh, and feel the hip socket. Just soften your gaze. You can feel what's going on in there. And it should just talk to you, but softly. And then release. Release any tension. See if it goes down maybe just like a little bit more. See if you created a little bit of more of a millimeter for the body to move a little bit more freely, because the hips tend to kind of in the yoga tradition, and we say that a lot of our fears and tensions can be kept in the hips. So working with the root chakra is a way to kind of cue the brain for relaxation and for saying it's okay. And when you're ready, unwind, take the other leg, cross it over. Again, putting the leg right there, not on the foot. And see where this goes. You can compress your foot into your hand and just get a little dynamic there. You're inducing just a little bit of engagement. And then you release it. And there's a little bit more play. There's a little bit more awakeness, play, a little bit more range of motion there. Same thing with the compression. Take your hand, press it into the knee, press the knee into the palm. The knee is pushing up, the hand is pushing down. Just creating a little bit of dynamic. And then release it. See if there's a little bit more play there. And when you're ready, bring it back up. And back down to center. And lastly, to just release general tension, cross your hands over and see if you can just release your neck, place your upper body on your knees and let the neck come on down. Maybe give a few little shrugs. And on your next inhale, come on up, come on all the way up. Come back to center. Exhale. That's moving mindfully in your own space. And release. Be happy to just join me for a moment of meditation where we can just sit quietly with our hands on our lap. You can place your hands in Dhyan Mudra or in Chin Mudra on your knees or in your lap. Just soften your gaze and close your eyes just for a few breaths. Having released muscular tension, you can now settle and just notice if any thoughts pop up, things that we should have, would have, need to do, we could do, we have to put on our list, and just observe them and then redirect back to your breath. Just to take a little me time, a little quiet time to tune into your own heartbeat, your own breath, your own body. Just feel the rise and fall of your chest wall. Just observe and watch it happen with there's no rhythm to keep. There's no exercise to be done. Bring your hands to your own heart and bow to it. Just bow your head. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And when you're ready, start coming out of your inner world. You can start to just rub your hands. Create a little bit of heat. If your hands are clean, can place them on your eyes. Just letting the heat just flow in from your own effort, right down through your eyes, right down to your heart. Or you can do it directly. Just have that experience. Just seal it in, a moment of being at peace with yourself. Namaste. Thank you.